Just one night would me feed my daughter, she bargained, but the man gave them a home instead. The rain poured in silver sheets, soaking the cracked streets of the city. Nadia's worn sandals slapped against the puddles as she hurried through the dark alleys, clutching her threadbare coat around her thin body. Behind her, in the narrow shadow of a half-collapsed wall, her daughter, Sarah, shivered. Nadia had nothing left, no money, no food, and nowhere safe to sleep. Sarah's cough had been getting worse, each rattle of her chest making Nadia's stomach twist. Desperation had a taste, bitter and metallic, and it was all she'd known for months. There was only one door left to knock on tonight. The man inside was a stranger, but she'd heard rumors. He was rich enough to live in a house that still had heat and light. She hated herself for what she was about to do, but hunger screamed louder than pride. When he opened the door, she saw he was not much older than 30, dressed simply but with a kind of cleanliness that meant comfort. His eyes, dark and steady, studied her without flinching. "I need help," she said, voice trembling. "Food for my daughter. She hasn't eaten in 2 days." His gaze slid past her to the small figure huddled under the wall. "And you?" Nadia swallowed. She had rehearsed the words 100 times in her head, but speaking them aloud felt like slicing her own skin. "Just one night with me. Feed her, and I'll give you that." For a moment, silence filled the doorway. Rain drummed on the awning. She expected him to smirk or close the door or bargain further. Instead, he stepped back. "Bring her inside," he said quietly. Confused, Nadia hurried to fetch Sarah. The warmth that rushed over them when they stepped in felt almost painful, like their frozen bones couldn't believe it. The man guided them toward a small kitchen. A pot of soup simmered on the stove, filling the air with the scent of herbs and meat. He ladled generous portions into bowls and set them before them. Nadia tried not to devour hers too quickly, but Sarah didn't bother hiding her hunger, slurping noisily and wiping her mouth with her sleeve. When the bowls were empty, Nadia set hers down, her throat tight. She glanced at him, waiting for his signal, some gesture that it was time to pay her part of the bargain. But he only said, "There's a spare room upstairs. It's warm. You both can rest there tonight." Her breath caught. You don't want." He shook his head. "No, I'm not interested in buying people. You need help. That's all." The words landed in her chest like something both heavy and light. For months, every kindness had come with a price. She had learned that nothing was free. And yet, here was a man telling her otherwise. Upstairs, the bed was soft, the blankets thick. Sarah fell asleep instantly, her small body curled against her mother. But Nadia lay awake for a long time, staring at the ceiling. In the morning, she found him in the kitchen again, making tea. She didn't know how to thank him, or how to ask if they could stay another night, without sounding like she was taking advantage. Before she could speak, he said, "I'm Daniel. I live here alone. This house is too big for one person." He glanced at her. "If you and your daughter need a place to stay for a while, you can." Nadia blinked. We can't pay you. I'm not asking for money." He shrugged. "You can help around the house if you want. Cook, clean. Or just rest until you can figure out your next step." Her eyes burned. For the first time in months, she felt the urge to cry. Not from hunger or fear, but from a strange, unfamiliar ache of relief. Days turned into weeks. Nadia found herself laughing sometimes. Quietly at first, then freely, at Sarah's little jokes or Daniel's dry humor. She learned he had lost his family years ago, and perhaps that loneliness made him unwilling to send them back to the streets. Winter passed slowly, but inside the house, they were warm. Nadia never forgot the night she had arrived, ready to give away the last of her dignity for a meal. Daniel never mentioned it again. One evening, As snow fell thick outside, Sarah climbed into Daniel's lap with a picture she had drawn. 3 figures holding hands under a yellow sun. "That's us," she explained proudly. "Our family." Nadia caught Daniel's eyes over Sarah's head. There was no pity in his gaze, no judgment. Only quiet acceptance, as though her place there had never been in question. And in that moment, Nadia realized something. The night she had come to his door, she had been ready to trade herself for a single meal. He had given her far more than food. He had given her the one thing she thought she'd never have again, a home